Good morning, Turfs Up Radio. Wayne Bowles, Profits Unlimited, coming to you live from Louisville, Kentucky. Oh, my goodness. We are here. It is hump day. Can y'all believe it? We're halfway through another week, or for the traditional week, if you will. Somehow this became hump day, right? But, when you're working for yourself or you're working in business or, fill in a blank on what position you have with somebody, sometimes there's not a middle of the week. That's the reality of it too. So, but hey, we're not going to talk about that today. But hey, technically, I guess we're on hump day, so we're going to go with that. And hope everybody's having a good week so far. Hope your day's off to a great start. And I am certainly excited to be here with you guys today, as always. And looking forward to a special guest we're going to have on here about 9-10 minutes with me, Ron Scheffler with the Bobcat Equipment Company. So looking forward to having Ron on and talking to him a little bit today. And I'm sure we'll have a lot of stories that'll go along with that, as well as your all's interaction today. And yeah, Ron is. We've been trying to put this together and get it organized for a while, and we finally got him on here. He's got a hectic schedule, like a lot of us, and that's the reality of that. And he's got a lot of responsibility with Bobcat and what he does. And but I'm glad he could take the time out of his day to hop on here with us and tell us a little bit about their product line. So we'll talk more about that when we get him on here. But Corey, appreciate you listening, my friend. It's always great to have you in. It's great to have everybody in because, my show's not anything without you guys. That's what it amounts to. So you guys make my show what it is, and without you all, wouldn't be on here. So I appreciate the support that you all give Turfs Up Radio and all of our sponsors. We appreciate that support as well. So with that being said, I'll tell you what, it's always something exciting when you're running your own business, right? I'm looking forward to, let's see. Nice, nice. Yeah. So, it's always exciting when you're working with, in your own business, regardless of the size, whether it's small or large. I had a funny story that I want to share with you guys a little bit about yesterday that was really cool. I went out to see a lady, and um, it was a residential account, and went out to see her and talk to her for a little bit. And she had 34 years retired military. Her husband was retired military, and they had been out of town, unfortunately, on a death of her brother, actually, who was only 57 years old. And we got to talking about that just a little bit, and she shared that with me, and she's actually started a company to help people that are homeless and or just in a bad way. And they've got a grand opening coming here in Louisville, August 3rd, I think she told me it was, on her business. So, it's funny how a significant event in your life kind of turns things around for you, and you decide, hey, I'm going to do something different than the way I was doing it the day before. And that certainly has provided the impetus for her to start this company. And she made it clear, though, and this was pretty cool. This is why I share this story with you. She said, I am not a nonprofit organization. I am a for-profit company. And she told me that a few times. And I didn't get into her with because I normally don't get into the Profits Unlimited, the seminars that I do at local dealers and things like that with customers and talking to them like that. But I'm thinking, it's great to hear you talk like that with with a confidence, if you will, that that's her goal, is to make a profit. And I thought I'd share that with you guys today because sometimes we get involved in something, or we're doing things a little bit different than the way we did them the day before. And, we get a little bit worried. Daniel actually talked about fear factor on his show just prior to me coming on, and how fear, he said it, God, I can't remember exactly how he said it, but it's in your imagination sometimes, I think is the way he put it. And, the reality of that is there is a lot of things when it comes to running our businesses or just in our lives on a daily basis that sometimes we let fear hold you back. And my brother, John, he used to joke about it and say, is it fear or common sense that's holding you back? And, sometimes it's a little bit of both, but sometimes we just got to move forward in what we're trying to do. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And, or that'll be part of our show today. But I am certainly looking forward to talking to Ron on here today and finding out more about their equipment. So I'm going to take a short break, a little bit sooner than normal, before Ron gets on here with me. And we'll be right back with more Profit Time here on Turfs Up Radio, your industry, your station. Don't you go anywhere. All righty then. Welcome back. Welcome back to Profit Time here on Turfs Up Radio. So, man, that was perfect timing. Let's see what we got here. Going to hit here. We got there. We get you going here, Ron. Ron, this is Wayne. Can you hear me okay?
Hey, good morning, Wayne. Yeah, you bet I can hear you. Am I coming through all right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're sounding good this morning. I appreciate you taking the time to hop on here with me this morning, my friend.
Oh, you bet. Love it. Love talking to you. So I'm happy to be here.
Good deal. So, hey, I've got Ron Scheffler with me, and I'm going to give you a brief background to all of our listeners, if that's okay, Ron. But I'm going to let you tell them about yourself, because you could certainly do a much better job than I can, right?
Well, I sure hope so.
Yeah, that's right. It's funny, like, when I do quite a few seminars and on bidding and contracts with equipment dealers across the country for their end users, and it's like the dealers they'll say, well, you got to bow, and I'm like, yeah, here's one. It's 4 sentences. Just introduce me as Wayne Bowles from Louisville, Kentucky, and I'm a lawn guy, just like you are, and I'll do the rest. So nothing more boring than somebody reading about a 2-page bio, and patting herself on the back for about 10 minutes. So, and I know you don't do that either. So, but hey, just for our listeners, I've got Ron Scheffler with me. He is the senior product manager for grounds maintenance equipment at Bobcat Company, and he's got 30 plus years experience in the equipment industry. And without further ado, Ron, I'll let you take it from there and give us a little bit about your background, and we'll probably have some questions as we go along from some of our listeners, and about what we're talking about today, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that sounds great, Wayne. Thanks, and good morning, everyone. Yeah, Ron Scheffler, senior PM here for Bobcat Company. This is my 22nd year here at Bobcat. Before I came into the turf industry, I was in design engineering for construction equipment for about 12 years at various other places, different designing, heavy duty equipment, and then I come into the turf world here. And had the opportunity for Bobcat and was part of engineering, and then eventually evolved into product management where I am today. So I'll tell you, it's really kind of cool to go from, so all my experience been off-road equipment, but to go from the construction world to the turf world, I found that the turf world, man, the folks are harder on the equipment than the construction guys. So it's been a great ride so far.
I'm laughing at it, but being a commercial lawn and landscape contractor myself for 46 years now, I 100% buy into the fact of what you're saying about lawn guys are pretty tough on equipment. And then the first question is, well, why didn't that warranty work? Yeah. Those curbs
do a number on everything, right?
Yeah, that's right. Oh my gosh. I remember there was a brand of equipment that was out on the market briefly, and this goes back a lot of years ago, and I'm not going to bring it up because it doesn't matter. But they had a tremendous issue with their front casters. And it's because they just, they didn't realize the abuse these guys were going to give it. Like you said, the curbs and fire hydrants and things we're not supposed to, tear something up with, that we do to have a tendency sometimes to hit and run over more than we should, right? So
yeah, and foremen and owners, they can do their best to train their operators, but sometimes, you get the college kids from a summer job and they just want to be cowboys. And so sometimes it doesn't matter what you train them and how you teach them.
That's right. And I mean, something, Ron, I found too, and just with within our own company specifically, and also with talking to guys all over North America as a whole, realistically in my seminars, that the owner operator in most cases is the sweet spot on equipment. I mean, it just is. And it's not that people don't care. I think it's just it's like anything. When you own something, you'll take a little better care of it. And we've got
that's exactly right. Yeah.
I mean, we've got some really good people here at Wayne's Lawn Service, our landscaping business that we got, and that really good with equipment. But I mean, still, when you don't own it, it's a little bit different. And that took me, Ron, that took me a hard time and a long time and a hard time to get over as my company was growing. Production rates are going to be different and operations going to be different.
Yeah. We did a turf tour several years ago, and I met an old school gentleman who's owner operator, and he had two pieces of our commercial sit down equipment. One unit had 10,000 hours on it.
Oh,
and a second unit,
goodness.
a second unit had 15,000 hours on it. No lie. And the only thing, that obviously he's done the regular maintenance on it, change blades and belts, stuff like that. But the only thing that he really had to change out over the years were engines. And because he did this service and he took care of the machine like it was his children, So,
right.
yeah.
It's funny, guys they'll ask me in different markets, what's the best brand of equipment? What do you all run? I said, man, it's really operator and preventive maintenance is what it amounts to, because they all sell equipment, and they all sell parts. And I know Bobcat makes a great product, but you just hear guys ask that all the time. And sometimes I'm like, okay, are they trying to set me up? And tell me why I'm stupid for using something, or are they really wanting to know what the best is? And I know you guys have got a really good dealer network, right? And I mean, and that's what I tell guys all the time. It's the dealer network that's important. Would you feel that way?
Oh yeah, I certainly like. So you did say it right. We do have good products, and our dealer network is so important though, because I've heard over the years doing voice of customer work and research that customers will typically buy what, say, Wayne Small Engine Dealership sells, because it's a relationship between the dealer and the customer that's almost more important than the product itself. And from a brand standpoint too, I think, when people say, what's the best brand out there? You know what the best brand is? It's your brand. Because if you are the owner, then take care of it, because it's your brand that's on your trucks. It's your brand that's on your trailers, on your T-shirts, on your hats. And that's what you need to do. That's what you need to be careful. That's the best brand. Take care of your equipment, keep it up and running, and let people see what you're operating. I think that goes a long way.
Well, I'll say this. I've got a text. You probably heard my phone dinging in the background. You've got a big fan listening to us. It says, Bobcat, in my opinion, is an industry best kept secret. They have an amazing cut. So
that's great to hear.
From a gentleman named Mike Murphy.
So. Okay. Well, I appreciate that, Mike. Bobcat, it's kind of interesting. So our history, Bob Dashcat was a green and black mower back in the day. It started out in 1958 was the first Bob Dashcat mower ever labeled like that.
Okay.
And then so when at Equip Expo, of course, formerly GIE, all the time I'd get comments like, "Oh, I didn't know Bobcat made mowers," meaning Doosan Bobcat Construction Company. I'd be like, "Well, no, we're not those guys," And now when Bobcat bought us in 2020 there, and we've been launching these mowers, we took all that history with us. Now we get people saying, "Well, I didn't know Bobcat made mowers." Well, wait, hold on a minute. We've been around since 1958. So the narrative has changed. And for those who do bar trivia, the first Bobcat mower came out in 1958. The first Bobcat skid steer was also 1958. So like my my career, my circle is now complete, as
So
Darth Vader said once, right? So.
there you go. There you go. So tell our listeners a little bit about, the Bobcat brand. And it's funny, yesterday on my way home, a guy passed me with two of the stand-ons. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's crazy. I'm getting ready to talk to Ron tomorrow, and there goes a guy with a couple stand-ons. So
Yeah, no, that's awesome to see that.
and that's a true story, by the way. I'm not making that up. That really did happen. I told Daniel, he's riding with me, my son. I said, "Oh my God, look, there goes a guy with a couple Bobcats, man. I'm talking to Ron tomorrow about those." So,
Yeah, no, from a brand standpoint, Bobcat brand, it's a well-known brand out there, right? There's
right,
several brands out there that people see, they recognize, and I would say that Bobcat is a household brand, very recognizable. People know the iconic colors when you see it on a trailer. That Bobcat orange rear gate that's out there, the white and the charcoal colors. But the Bobcat has quality, durable equipment, and in order for Bobcat to put their label onto a piece of equipment, they really got to believe in it, right? So when they came around and purchased the division here in Wisconsin that makes the mowers, that makes the turf renovation equipment like sod cutters and aerators, and then the articulated tractors, they wanted a product that they could put their brand on and not sweat at night, right? Sleep well, and
right.
to let people know that, hey, this is a durable product. And, like I said earlier, it's been around since 58. We've had some bumps and bruises in the industry, just like everyone else out there, but we've got to that point where we're listening to the customers. We understand what needs to go on it, and it's a solid, durable product, whether you're buying a residential, prosumer, or commercial grade product.
Yeah. What's some of the and I know this would be a simple question for you, but what's some of the simple features involved with Bobcat? What's something you guys do different? I know I was watching a few of your videos the other day. Actually, you were in some of them that I was watching too online, just to get a little additional product knowledge. And but I saw something, and I don't want to get myself too far ahead, but I saw something about a toolless engine oil change.
Oh, you bet, Wayne. So some of the things that we have that separate us, right? Just a toolless oil change here on our engines. That's on all our products, from walks to our stand-ons to sit-downs, whether it's commercial or residential. Right? It's about landscapers, being able to save some cash, or some dealers being able to do something quick and save their service group some time. So it's really for that particular example, we just have a hose that's clipped up to our engine, and you really just pop the cap and turn the nipple, and your engine oil change is off and running. And it's toolless, easy to do. And while you're waiting for the oil to drain, you're off and cleaning out your air filter or whatever. Then you're back up and running lickety split.
When I saw that, I got to thinking, and I'm going to throw myself under the bus here first, Ron. I was the world's worst when I started my company on preventive maintenance. I really was. And it was almost like oil change. What's an oil change? Why do an oil change? My mower's running fine. And then, as you start putting hours on your equipment, then obviously it's critical for the success of that. But then it was the complication of a lot of it, where when you were trying to change the oil, then it's running all over the deck of the equipment. And I'm glad to see that you guys have made it simplistic for an end user, if you will, to do that oil change now. I mean, that is a really cool thing. When I saw that tube, I don't know, that's attached. You just take, what was it, just like a 9/16 or something, I guess. It looked like a small wrench to take the cap loose, right? And then it just drains right out.
Well, you don't know, it's toolless. You don't even need the wrench.
None at all.
None at all. You pop a rubber cap on it, and then you just turn it with your hand.
So it really is. Okay. So when I saw that, I thought, man, it looked like you would do it with your hand, but I thought, then I got my paranoia set in, if you will.
Yeah, no. There's the reason why you said that there is a fitting that goes into it in that sub assembly, but you don't need a wrench. You don't need a wrench.
It
to do
is
that.
all fingers. It's all fingers. In. I got you.
Yes, yes,
Right.
sir. Yeah.
Tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about that swing away bumper.
Yeah, I love that. That came out due to again some of this VOC type of discussions and research that I did going to see various landscapers, watching what they're doing. We all say, "Well, I know how to mow my lawn." Well, you don't know what other people are doing. They'll tell you a story and they'll think certain things are true from what they remember, but then when you watch them, you're like, "Oh, they forgot steps 2 through 5, and then you see what they're doing, you see how they operate. But that swing weight bumper come about by observing some people and kind of struggling to try to get at some things, talking to service managers at dealerships, just saying, how long does it take you to work on an engine or to change out a fuel solenoid or something like that, whatever it was. And the guys were telling me, well, it takes me about, half hour or so. And they'll drop the bumper. They'll have to, get their tools out and get it up on the lift, et cetera, et cetera. Well, we came out with this rotating bumper from that. Like, how can we make it easier for people to either do it yourself or to keep the service managers happy and efficient in their dealership? And, we came out with this concept. It's a big hit when people come out and check to see really what happens. You come out, it helps you clean out the engine compartment so much faster. But then if you do have to have some kind of major engine work, it comes right out right quick. You rotate the bumper out of the way, it goes all the way against the fuel tank. So it doesn't just open like 10 degrees. I don't know the exact angle of opening, but it gets out of your way. And you can pull that engine out just from an engine plate, and everything comes with it.
And that is the frustration sometimes, isn't it? It's just the access on equipment. So you've solved that problem for somebody.
Yeah, correct. And I actually had a guy that came up to me, shout out to Washington Landscape in Michigan, Dustin Wells. He came up to me at Equip Expo one year and he just said, I bought your ZT 7000 mower and your mower saves me money. And he went on to tell me everything that it saved him money. And he brought up that rotating bumper. He had to change an engine fuel sender, and he said, I would used to take me about a half hour because I have them on stock because sometimes they don't last very long, and it'd take me about 30 minutes. He said, I had one in the truck, walked over the engine, opened up your swing away bumper, changed out the fuel sender in 3 minutes. And I'm like, that's real world examples. That's real money in your pocket, no downtime.
Yeah. And that's it. I mean, anything we can save, because from a bidding perspective on a contractor side, I know that's the biggest problem a lot of us have is, cost per hour of operation. And then if you guys are speeding that maintenance side along for somebody, that certainly is certainly a way to help them. Something else cool that I saw watching your all's videos, Ron, was the bolt-on baffling that y'all do.
Yeah. Yep. So our bolt-on
that's really cool because I cannot tell you how many times I've got underneath the lawnmower back in the day and tried to hammer something back in place, Well,
it's not just about a serviceability thing, Wayne. It's also about quality of cut.
Right.
And, we found like underneath the deck, however your deck is designed, we'd move this or that or a different gusset or a baffle underneath the deck. And if you move something about a quarter of an inch underneath that deck with those blades spinning and that airflow going underneath there, you move something about a quarter of an inch, it affects the airflow, which affects your quality of cut. You're either pushing grass down or you're lifting it up.
Yeah, it's the lift, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. And so with our design, we decided let's put bolt-on in because with our AirFX air gap baffles that we have, if you were to misplace that baffle one way or the other, you start affecting potential buildup or dispersion out there. Quality of cut is many, many things, but we started realizing this is a customer benefit. You hit a tree root, you hit a water head, you hit you'd pop off the curb or whatever in a funky way, something hit the trailer, you bend up those baffles, they're easily replaceable. You think about, units that have weld-on baffles, and I've seen guys banging the snot out of it, and your baffle's no longer curved, and, you start getting some tangent lines, and that affects your airflow. And you hope you get it in the right spot, and,
right.
It's also, your blade tip is supposed to be pretty close to that baffle, for the best airflow. So our bolt-on baffles, I think that's a service item. It's a good feature, and it also costs less to the end user. If I got to replace a bolt-on baffle versus welding on something, it's less time in the shop and more money in my pocket.
Yeah, that's right. The bottom line is you got me back on the road faster. And
correct.
You know, that's what there was a gentleman here that, and he taught me a lot when I first got into this business. He was a service advisor for one of the companies here that they manufactured their equipment right here in Louisville at the time. And, oh my God, Bill Kirby was his name, Ron. I'll share this with you because I'm sure he's passed away now. And it's a very positive story, but it makes sense to what we're talking about today. But Mr. Kirby was a retired Marine, and one day I went in there with a string trimmer that I had attempted to fix myself and couldn't. And he asked me, he said, "Wayne, what have you torn up now?" And sound like a service department guy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah. And I said, "Well, Mr. Kirby, I want you to know this is the last place I want to be." I said, because the two things are happening. I'm not cutting grass and I'm spending money, Yeah. And
you got to do that walk of shame.
Walk of shame. It is. It really is. And it's cool to hear the little things that you guys have tried to do to make the serviceability of these things, a lot easier for a guy like me, at the time. And still realistically that I'm not a big wrench guy, but I mean, if it's simplistic, I'll deal with it. And
sure.
You guys have done a lot, for that. And, when we talk about we did have a guy comment on your swing away, though. He said what's really cool about the swing door, it literally makes the moors like a skid steer to get to. So he evidently.
Perfect. Yeah. I hadn't thought about that. That's a great comment.
Yeah.
And I should know too, in case you're on an incline, it can go either way. So we made it versatile that way too.
Yeah. That's really cool. Tell me a little bit, and our listeners a little bit about that AirFX deck, because I know I saw you had like the Tough Deck and the Tough Deck Pro, and then this AirFX deck when I was looking at your videos.
Yeah, the AirFX deck, that's our deep deck, full construction design, full commercial design. It's got our air gap baffles underneath. It's a unique baffle system where there's actually gaps in between those bolt-on baffles that we talked about that really enhances the airflow underneath. And it really gives you a cleaner deck at the end of the day because all those clippings are getting out. There's no buildup underneath the deck in wet conditions. I'll tell you, the AirFX deck was something else. It took us 2 full seasons to come up with it. We ended up going to the Northeast, Jersey, Connecticut, Maine, Massachusetts, all those wet areas, those sandy soil condition areas. We went all the way down to southern Florida, and then we went as far west as Denver to do cutting. And so in all these states in between practically, and it was a 2-year process. I mean, we had multiple baffle designs. We knew we wanted the deep deck design because a deeper deck typically provides better lift on the grass and usually gives you a better quality of cut overall. And we would go out. I mean, I'm telling you, Wayne, we would be in a raging rainstorm, changing baffles underneath the deck. There were so many days I'd end up getting back to the hotel just sopping wet because landscapers are still cutting in the rain, right? Even though they might not want to. There are times where they're behind and they've got to.
You just got to. That's exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was an experience that I won't forget because 2 years, and the only reason why it took 2 years is we had an oopsie in a design where one of the deck sizes had a misplacement in the CAD system Otherwise, we would have launched it a lot earlier because we were pretty successful in what we were finding. But we went all over the place, and I cut grass in different parts of the states along with the landscapers, changing out the baffles, and it ended up, Bahia grass down south in Texas, 18 inches long. Obviously, I'm not going full speed, but one pass was taking it down nice. So I'm really proud of that. We did our homework on it. It's got a bullnose front end, lets that grass pop up sooner to help meet the blade. We have front adjustable lips on the front end for different grass types, depending on the location of the country. And, the best quality cut, meaning it's not just making, tall grass short, but it's also various size clippings. I'm talking 3 deck widths, 61-inch deck, 3 deck widths of clippings, dispersals shooting out across the lawn. It's really a great deck design with a commercial warranty on it. So it was a 2-year project that I just was really kind of put everything I had into it.
Yeah.
And like I said, it does give you a cleaner deck at the end of the day. So I had one landscaper, for example, one season we gave him the deck with these baffles, and we put the air gap baffles in the next season for him. And he goes, I came back to me, he goes, I don't know what you guys differently this year, but that son of a gun is cutting grass like nothing. Because I used to take a deck, and used to take me a half hour to clean out. I'd get home, put up on the lip, scrape it out, and have a few shovelfuls of clippings that go dump in the back 40. And he said,
"Brace the WD-40 under there."
Yeah. Yeah. And then, we show him the air gap baffles, and he said, whatever you guys did, it's right. I spend 0 time cleaning up now, and maybe I get like a half a shovel full if it's been raining and it just sticks, So that was a great win for us.
You've got a lot of years of experience, so you can appreciate this, I'm sure. And I have not thought about this till you were talking about this AirFX deck, but you guys have helped the industry move along. Remember back in the day when contractors were bagging so much grass, collecting so much grass? I mean,
oh yeah, you bet.
And it's the deck renovations that have solved a lot of that problem for us contractors, hasn't it? I mean, it sure has. I mean, if you think about it, if we do some simple math, right? Yeah.
Say you got grass height at 8 inches and you're cutting at 3. We don't want to do that, but I mean, you have 5 inches of clippings. If everything came out at 5 inches, you're going to have a mess on your hands, right? So It's important that your blades of grass get cut up a couple of times as it's going from chamber to chamber, right? So that helps to create less thatch to put those nutrients back into the soil.
Getting them back in, and now it becomes usable. And now it's kind of like we're helping ourselves keep on mowing longer, I mean, because of that. Because I know we used to have to bag a lot of grass, and I mean, it was just the time and expense that it took, and now, these decks on these mowers are just so much more efficient on giving us the opportunity to not have to spend that time and money doing that. So I want to.
Yeah. And a lot of that too is education to the end user, if they want bagging or not. And there's pros and cons to both methods.
Oh yeah. And we still have grass catchers around here. There's applications where it is efficient to catch it, but more than it is to have to blow things out. But I do want to give you all kudos on that AirFX deck, man. I mean, just in what I've heard about it and what I've watched on it, and that whole thing is it's crazy. And what the really the neat thing about it that I thought was, again, going back to something we've already discussed, but was the bolt-on baffling, because there is times where if the brand that we had that, I would have much rather done that. That when I saw that, I'm like, oh my God, that's a great idea.
Yeah, no. Yeah. I appreciate the feedback, and it's easy for me to say that we have a great quality cut. Well, one, we do, but I mean, because I have the history, I helped develop it, and et cetera, et cetera. But when I go out to dealerships and I have dealers say, there's nothing that cuts like that Bobcat, or some landscapers come up to me at Equip Expo, and will explain some things to me and say, I love that AirFX deck. Right. I mean, it's just great to get that feedback.
So how are they are they shipped with that AirFX deck, or does somebody tell the dealer, hey, I want this deck or that deck? How do, just for our listeners, what's normal?
Yeah, no, it comes as a whole good with the power unit, just like a regular zero turn mower. If you want our ZT7000 mower, you automatically get the AirFX deck with it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the only deck we have for commercial grade products. Yeah.
I see. So a person doesn't have to think about what they're getting on their Bobcat mower,
No,
Okay.
They do not. If they want mower, they want the ZT7000, for example, you get the ZT7000. All you have to think about is whether or not you want what deck size, and if you want a carb engine or the EFI engine. So,
and that, how do your all's warranty stack up against competition, Ron?
We're pretty competitive. So our warranty is 3 years or 2,000 hours on the commercial grade products, and 3 years and various hours on the Res Prosumer. But the unique thing about ours, and you could buy an extended warranty as well, but the unique thing about ours is that it includes the transmission. So the 3 years, you get 33 years on your transmission. But now the transmission folks out there, the vendors out there that we all use, they only support a 2-year warranty. Bobcat picks up year number 3 on our dime. So that gives you a peace of mind. That helps save, those landscapers money on that. Now, other competitors will say, "Hey, I got a third year too," but a lot of times the customers has to pick up that extra hydraulic warranty. So you get a little bit extra with our warranty.
You've got a big fan in Bowling Green, Kentucky. He said,
awesome.
He said, our Bowling Green dealer is phenomenal. He says, I rent their equipment frequently. So,
that's great to hear.
Yeah. So, and here's another one says, wow, what a warranty, So that is cool. When you're getting that transmission warranty through you guys, that's a big deal. I mean, that's a big deal for a guy that's out mowing on the regular and trying to do a little preventive maintenance. And I say that with all due respect to all the end users of equipment. That's a good amount of time. 2,000 hours. That's a really good amount of hours for any operator, isn't it? I mean, that's the realistic side of it. For you guys that may not be tracking your hours, I mean, that's going to be 3 seasons or more in a lot of markets, and then
yeah. I think like the average guy or gal puts on like 700 to 800 hours a season. Now, right now, somebody in Florida is laughing, right?
Right, and somebody in Maine's laughing, Yeah.
But no, that's about average. So that 3 years, 2,000 hours, that kind of goes hand in hand.
And it gives them time to get their ROI on that piece of equipment before they, hey, it's time to switch it out and let's do something different. Speaking of something different, what about stand-on versus your sit-down mowers? Is there one that you like over the others for you guys, or is it strictly, hey, what are you mowing?
Well, it's a little bit of both ways. I love the stand-on, right? Our stand-on mowers,
I love them.
I'll tell you, we were one of the last ones to come out with a stand-on in the market, and that's good and bad, right? Bad because we weren't in the market, being competitive, but good because we got to see what people weren't maybe doing so hot about, but also maybe what some folks were doing well. And I'd say we canvassed the country on that. I spent a lot of time on airplanes going to talk to people and stand on markets. And when we came out with it, our stand on at the time had a unique operator position. You leaned into the machine. And I'm like, well, we'll see how it is. I felt really comfortable at it. Our initial voice of customer comments were coming back from people saying, I really like this. And I'll tell you, we launched, and then a year and a half later, competitors started copying us. And I'm like, okay, we did something right.
That's right.
If some market leaders are starting to copy us, we caught some attention. And so, but the difference with the stand-on, I mean, I think there's a lot of folks that just kind of, in general, kind of prejudge it from a standpoint of, I just want to sit, right? Like I don't want to stand, but it really depends on the landscape that you're cutting. Is it highly landscaped? Are you doing cemeteries? Do you have a lot of, maybe some guide wires or low tree branches that you just got to duck under where you're sitting down, you can't move,
That's
stuck.
what I liked about the stand-ons, when they came out, that for you guys that are still riding everything, thinking it's, more efficient, it doesn't have to be more efficient. And it's not necessarily more efficient to go one way or the other. To Ron's point, it's, hey, what are you mowing? But I know it was nice to be able to, I'm trying to think of the right word, get down when you're going under a tree, for an example, and you're still able to go under those branches pretty safely. Whereas a lot of times, well, I tell you, it just happened to a guy here that I know was going. He was on a sit down piece of equipment and going under a tree, and the rock bar was up like it was supposed to be, but he went to push the branch up over the rock bar, and the branch caught his hand, and actually a whole bunch of stitches later and 2 surgeries later and a pin later, he's like, man, it'd been a whole lot easier if I could have just went underneath this,
Yeah.
So, that just happened.
Yeah. I'm sorry to hear that. The stand-on mowers, it lets you be Spider-Man. Right?
Yeah, they do, man.
You can be nimble and squat and get down where really the lowest point of the seat is either your rop, or the lowest point of the mower is either the rops or the high point of your seat. And you can only twist so much, And as I get older, I'm twisting a lot less, So
yeah, that's right. I'm too young to be talking like that. Come on now, Ron.
I'm just saying,
Yeah, just in case, right?
Yeah. The stand-ons, though, I'll tell you, for those who are like considering it, landscaping it's a tough job, and it's long days, and you get tired. But when you're on a stand-on machine, so I'll give you a real life example here. I have a stand-up desk at work, and I stand from 6 a.m. until I leave about 4:30. I'm standing all day unless I go into a boardroom for a meeting or something like that. And I go home and I have a ton of energy, Wayne, a ton of energy.
Yeah.
But when I would sit, COVID happened. We go home for, 6 to 8 weeks, whatever it was. And I didn't have my desk. So I'm sitting at the dining room table doing my work, and I'm tired at the end of the day. I gained my weight back, so standing up gives you a healthier body. It also takes, those jolts at the stand on that you hit that pothole in the lawn somewhere, right? Your leg muscles are taking those shocks versus
that's
your
right.
kidneys or your bladder.
Oh, and it's 100% better. I agree. So I'm a big fan. When we've got several texts from guys saying they're stand-on fans. Fred Likens, a guy out of Indianapolis, just sent me a text, and he's got a nice service up there. He said they don't think they'll ever go back to riders. Just the versatility of the stand-on is there, and it really is for all the reasons that you've talked about, for sure. We did have a question come in about from a gentleman. He says, "What kind of emergency brake do the standers have?"
Well, the parking brake we have for Bobcat is one that you engage before you get off of the machine. So there's 2 ways where you can have an operator presence in your handles or an operator presence in the platform. And it's about a 50-50 split. And the reason we have it in our handles, and the reason for that is that so many dealers, and I walk through the shops, their service shops, and so many stand-on mowers that have it in the platforms, I saw the safety wiring ripped off, or hot wired to ignore that safety piece.
The bypass.
Yeah, bypass it. So we have a parking brake that's on the console, that's right by your right-hand side, and you can put that on with ease. It's not hidden. It's right on top, right in front.
Easy to get to, and yeah, I know that was a great answer for that fellow. So appreciate that. And one other thing.
Yeah, one thing.
Go ahead. No, you're good.
I was just going to say, it's one thing about stand-ons. Like, people are starting to realize the importance of the stand-on, what it means in the market. it used to be, single digit percentages way back several years ago. It's forecasted to be roughly 20% of the commercial market now, of commercial mowers sold for stand-on mowers. So the trend is growing. It's linear, it's not exponential, and it's kind of interesting, it's still somewhat new to some folks too. I was doing a dealer training in Australia a few years ago, and we took our stand-on mower because Australia isn't a big stand-on mower market yet. But we took it there, and we're doing this dealer training at this resort. And so there were some vacation families and everything like that. The families are all hanging out and having their lunch and everything. And we come out of the meeting, and one of the salesmen took the mower and drove it down to where the grass was, and he had to bypass all these folks, and all they saw was the person standing up. So, okay, it's not a segue. What is it? And I'll tell you, every one of the dads or husbands that were at the lunch all ran over to the side, and when they heard the blades turn on, I see these guys go, "Oh, it's a mower, that you stand on." So a crazy concept,
That's right. That's right. And then all of a sudden, that's cool. Let's try it. Maybe. I'm really glad to see that I hadn't heard numbers like that you just gave us about the 20% of the market is stand on now. And I guess a lot of that's market driven too, right? I mean, just different markets across the country, but, where you see more or less, but that's a really good number to see, because I know we do not have a rider here any longer within our own business. And just because of the efficiencies of the stand on and trailer space. And I mean, it just makes sense. I mean, it just makes sense. And how are you guys, Ron, God, I can't believe we're already where we're at time wise, my friend. But and I appreciate you giving me a whole hour of your life this morning. I didn't, but no, I know you got a zillion things going on. But what about where are you guys with any type of robotic or autonomous mowing? What's your future look like with that?
Yeah, if you go out to our YouTube site and things like that, you'll see some. Our ZT 6200, I believe, is the model number for that. You'll see a couple of the autonomous mowers in action. It's our commercial sit-down units, so it's our first launch of that. It's been under review for several seasons now. We've shown it at Equip Expo a couple of years, and at our dealer meetings for a little bit longer than that with some prototypes. But now we're going out we have certain landscapers and like an airport caretaker type thing for smaller aircraft that's got like 12 acres, places like that where we can kind of keep those in check and make sure software is working, and all that type of stuff is under care, under wraps, and keeping eyeballs on, make sure it's all working properly, because safety is a big thing there, right? We don't want to run over grandma's cat or anything like that. So, but that's coming, and we have a limited launch that's out there now with customers, and more to come on that. But we're right around the corner from going full steam.
With all your experience, Ron, 30 years experience, around equipment and contractors, how receptive do you think we're going to be as an industry to autonomous mowing? What's your view, and then what's Bobcat's view? Obviously, y'all wouldn't be investing all the time, effort, and money, into this if you didn't think it was going to be a reality. But how do you guys foresee the transition to the contractor market and us accepting it?
Sure. Well, I think where it comes into play are for those folks who are watching their bottom dollar, right? Your show's profit time. That's what that's all about. We've had this labor shortage thing that continues to plague us as younger generations coming up, and they want to work on computers, or they're looking at trades, but they don't want to necessarily get into the lawn equipment or have a dealership or things like that. This is where it's coming into play, and it's showing that it's really saving money, because having an employee with all the benefits that people are looking for nowadays, there is a cost associated with that an autonomous mower can help fix that. from a landscaping person. You know, a one-man band might necessarily not want that, but a few, someone who's got a smaller crew on up, who's taking care of sports fields, hospitals or something like that with large yards, big back 40s, talked about airports, things like that. Those are the types of guys that should really look at that. And then just a funny thing, we had our big dealer meeting in Florida in February, and we actually have a customer who has a homeowner that had the biggest property in town, and he's seriously reviewing it because he just wants to sit on his porch, sip lemonade, and watch the neighbors watch his mower. Yeah. So you always have one of those, you know.
Keeping up with the Jones kind of thing, right? Yeah. See what's happening there. You know, speaking of Florida for a minute, you know, Texas, all the states with the, you know, the sand issues. How's cutter housings, y'all's cutter housings hold up?
You know, the sand is one of the worst things, right? Not only just in ripping apart metal, but also, you know, bearings and things like that. You know, we've got a good deck. Our main shell of the deck is 10 gauge, and then it's got a second layer of 10 gauge on it at the top. But we also have, it also eats blades up, right? And so we have a blade option called a laser edge blade. And, you know, down in Florida, Texas, the Texarkana area, the coasty, sandy coasty areas, they'll eat up blades in a day, and you just chuck them, right? You can't sharpen them.
So they're literally almost disposing regularly with those then, huh?
Yes. Yeah. When they're putting hours on, they're just throwing them out. But these laser edge blades, we've tested them down south, and I had a Texas dealer put them on our machine for us, and they lasted a week to a week and a half without changing, because they kind of cut themselves sharp is what the vendor kind of taglines them at. But they do a good job. You know, our deck's pretty thick to last for a bit. But, you know, eventually that sand just eats up everything. So
it is,
you just have to be careful. Yeah.
It's like salt in the snow business, isn't it?
Correct. Yeah.
You know, it's the chlorides in the snow business. But, and last but not least, and we got a few minutes left here again, Ron, I appreciate your whole hour. But what advice would you give somebody, you know, in the business or somebody getting into the business, as a startup, one truck operation? What would your best advice be for them?
Well, I tell you, you want to pick the right equipment, and there's so many pieces out there, right? Certainly, I'm going to advocate for our Bobcat mowers with the serviceability that we provide. You know, our ZT7000 can go up to 19 miles per hour in transport. You know, there's some efficiency factors out there. But I would look at, and if you're a younger person getting into the business and looking at equipment, certainly your ROI is most important, right? When I was a younger man, money had to be a huge factor in what I was picking out. I don't want to spend too much money. But when you look at something, you know, you have to be educated about it, because when you look at a mower, and if you look at somebody and they say, well, why would I want to spend, say, pick a number, right, $10,000 on a mower? What for? Well, what's your ROI? How many times do you get on a mower over a season? If you're a landscaper, you know, every day. Right. If you're a homeowner, you know, once or twice a week, especially this year, it's been crazy, great weather. Twice a week I'm mowing. So versus something like a boat where you spend much more money than that. You know, I have a friend of mine who bought a pontoon boat, and I asked him, you know, because he was debating which mower to get, and I said, well, hey, how much you spend for that? How much you spend on that boat? How many times did it take it out?
Good analogy.
He got quiet right quick. He lives in a lake house. He took it out twice in the summer last year.
Yeah,
and he had more seat time on his mower than his boat. So that ROI is important, right? So you have to think about that. But now that I'm a little bit older guy, you know, time is more important to me than the money spent. So how do I want to be? I still love cutting my lawn. There's a great feeling in having a job well done, right? But being best and efficient with my time is more important than the money. So you kind of have to weigh that out and balance it on the product that's going to allow you to take some money home, but also get home at a reasonable time to love on your family and use the gifts that God gave you. So, efficiency and time, do it yourself.
Yeah. Great Great answer, man. I appreciate that. And then what do you see from Bobcat? Will you guys, y'all going to surprise us with anything at the expo this year?
Oh, there'll be a few things, and yeah, there'll be some stuff in the turf world and in the construction world, grounds maintenance area. So there'll be a few things to take a peek at. So I highly encourage everyone to come on out and say hi.
You be out there to see and meet and greet like normal?
Oh yeah, I'll be out there, and I'll be out there, and hopefully I connect with you, Wayne.
Absolutely. We'll look you up for sure, Ron. So, hey, I appreciate you coming on my show today, Ron. And want to put any contact information out there on the radio waves for our customers?
Yeah, contact. You can reach out, Wayne. If any folks can want to reach out to me, they can have any more information. You can check out on our mowers. You can check out bobcat.com for our zero turns. And my email address, personally, if you want to shoot me an email, quite honestly, I'll give it to you. It's ronald.scheffler@doosan.com, Scheffler. So I would look forward to any and all comments.
Good deal. Good deal. Well, hey, Ron, thanks a lot for your time, and look forward to we get you on here again sometime in the future.
Yeah, I would love that, Wayne.
Right,
thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. All right. Thanks, Ron. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Godspeed.
All right. We'll see you at the expo, buddy.
Sounds great.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. That was the world famous Ron Scheffler, Senior Product Manager for Grounds Maintenance Equipment with the Bobcat Company. And I hope you guys enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. He was a great guy to talk to. That's the first time I've ever talked to him, actually. So look forward to meeting him out at the expo. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back with more Profit Time here on Turfs Up Radio. Your industry, your station. And speaking of the expo. All right. Welcome back. Welcome back to Profit Time here on Hump Day. Lordy, Lordy. Ron filled us with a lot of knowledge about their product and just industry in general. And I hope you guys, again, I want to say it again, that I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. And I want to give Jeremiah a big shout out. New listener today listening with us. So he's riding around with Corey today, helping Corey do his thing up there on the East Coast. So Jeremiah, don't let him work you too hard, but you probably got access to some pretty good treats, because I know Corey talks about making some good desserts. So maybe get a little sugar. Daniel, sugar okay if you eat a cookie or for a snack while you're out? Daniel says that's probably an all right thing. So yeah. But no, seriously, Jeremiah, glad to have you listening today with us, and I'm sure you're working hard with Corey. So you guys have a great day. Appreciate you guys being with us, and you guys that are in the Profit Circle with us tonight. We have our webinar at 7 p.m. You've got your link for it. If you guys would like to try the Profit Circle out, we're going to talk about service agreements tonight, and it's going to be a in-depth service agreement discussion. And I look forward to seeing you guys tonight. If you'd like to try it out, simply go to our website at Profits RS. That's Profits, AREUS.com. And you land on our page right there, and you'll see the Profit Circle. Join here. Check it out. There's no cost to try it out for 7 days, and you'll be able to get in there with our webinar tonight. So look forward to seeing you guys. You guys have a great day. Appreciate you listening to Turfs Up Radio. Stay here all day long. And remember, profit is not a dirty word. We'll see you next time.